Welcome to the Regenerative Revolution. I'm Jackie Sersel. Today I want to talk about cooperative federations. So I made a video previously on cooperatives. So if you don't know what a cooperative is, please go back and watch that video. I'll put a link up here. But today we're going to talk about cooperative federations, which are cooperatives of cooperatives. So what you need to know just for this conversation is that cooperatives are organizations, they are for profit, and each member has one membership share, and that guarantees them one vote for the board of directors and other ownership level decisions. And the cooperative is really designed to meet the needs of the members, and the members have to be either producers, consumers, or workers. So they have to be actively doing business with a cooperative. They can't just be investors. You can have investors, but they don't control the company. Okay. So I think this is a really great structure that guarantees democracy and sticking to the purpose of the organization rather than trying to maximize profits at the expense of any of those groups of people or the company as a whole. All right. So a cooperative federation, again, is a cooperative of cooperatives. That's what it's defined as. However, there are many organizations existing today that call themselves cooperative federations that actually aren't. This kind of bothers me because I think it's confusing and I really don't see many actual cooperative federations out there. These other organizations are either nonprofit, just associations. I think they should call themselves associations because that's what they are. They're just a nonprofit that cooperatives belong to, that, you know, they have a newsletter, they have a yearly conference, they have some sort of just like way for the cooperatives to communicate with each other. They usually have some educational content that they share. But other than that, they don't really do much, and there's no ownership going on. It's just a nonprofit. Okay. There's also the Mondragon Cooperative in Spain, which people call a cooperative federation that also isn't quite a cooperative federation. It's just a very large worker cooperative that's made up of multiple companies. So basically, you've got this umbrella company, the Mondragon Cooperative, that owns a bunch of companies. They're mostly LLCs. And then the workers of those LLCs are all members of Mondragon. Okay, so the workers control the organization that controls their companies that they work for. Okay, so that's a cool model. I think it's great, and it seems to be working pretty well. And I'm definitely trying to accomplish some of the same things that structure accomplishes, which is having this group of companies that are all working together very well. Okay, I really like that. However, I'm trying to stick a little bit more to the original definition of a cooperative federation. Okay, and what that means in this case is that we have a group of cooperatives, and each cooperative owns one share in the cooperative federation. So it is actually a cooperative of cooperatives. Okay. So you basically would have like the boards of directors or whoever they assign to vote for them, making the votes for the entire organization to the cooperative federation. The reason that I like this is because you have a little bit more specialization of knowledge of the people who are actually in charge of these cooperatives, having more say in how the federation works, because they're the ones who are going to be more in touch with what's going on and be able to make the best decisions at that level of decision making. Of course, the members of those cooperatives will have indirect say. You know, it's like a representative democracy instead of a direct democracy. You know, I think in this context, it makes sense, especially when I'm talking about the types of cooperatives that I want to create are not worker cooperatives, they're producer cooperatives. Okay, so a lot of the members of those co-ops will be businesses. They're going to be busy running their own businesses. Like the most I think they're going to be able to really pay attention to is their own business and then the cooperative that their business is a member of. So like, let's say you've got a landscaping cooperative like Re-Inhabit Cooperative. You know, a landscaper has their own landscaping company, and then they're a member of this landscaping cooperative that's a bunch of landscaping companies working together, right? So they're paying attention to how that cooperative works. I don't want to ask them to also pay attention to this other cooperative that's just supporting theirs, right? Like they're not going to know enough about what's going on at that level to make decisions. But the people that they've elected for their landscaping cooperative, they're going to know what's going on and they can make decisions for how the federation operates. So yeah, the federation, the purpose of it would be to provide business support for the cooperatives. Okay, so that's mostly going to be business consulting, accounting. I'd love to have, you know, a CPA on staff. I'd love to have a lawyer, an in-house lawyer, payroll service. We could have physical resources like buildings and equipment. We could have things that we loan out to the cooperatives. We could do all their website hosting and, of course, cooperative collective marketing to market for all of the companies. But the main thing that it would actually offer is funding for new co-ops. Okay, so this would be a business accelerator that would start new cooperatives. Okay, I'm really excited about this because I love co-ops and I think that we need more of them. And I think a funding mechanism to create more cooperatives would be really useful. So the way that I want to do this with the Regeneration Federation is to use FCC approved equity crowdfunding. So normally you can't crowdfund for equity, like things like Kickstarter. You can't sell shares in your company on Kickstarter. Okay. But if you apply and go through this process, you can set up a crowdfunding account where people can actually purchase equity through crowdfunding. If you don't do that, then you have to basically go public with your company, do a public listing, which is an incredibly expensive and difficult process. So they created this equity crowdfunding just about a decade ago to allow smaller companies to start this way. And it's really just a more, egalitarian crowdfunding. You don't have to be a certified investor to invest in this federation. Anybody can do it. And I hope to do it very grassroots, very, very crowdfundy that, it's a lot of people investing small amounts of money, maybe a few $100 at most. Maybe I wouldn't expect anyone to put more than maybe $5,000, maybe $10,000 into this. But if you have a lot of people doing that, then we have this pool of capital that we can use to fund this business accelerator. And that would be a rotating fund. So we run the business accelerator. We get a group of business consultants and experts and people, who want to be involved in starting these specific new co-ops. So people from these fields who want to be a part of it, we would form a team, but we would have very seasoned business experts on this team, and they would work together to come up with a business plan, to validate the business plan, to recruit all of the initial employees, board members, and some of the initial members, and get the a new co-op started. Okay, and as I said before, I'm actually most interested in creating producer cooperatives. So those would actually be like their own little business accelerators for specific kinds of businesses. Like, for example, we could have a yoga cooperative that's a cooperative of yoga teachers. Each yoga teacher is sort of their own solo entrepreneurs, but then they're working together to get their yoga studio and do marketing together. That's the type of cooperative I'm most interested in. And I think if we get a group of business experts and a few yoga teachers together, that we could start these kinds of co-ops fairly easily and for not too much money. So I'm looking for investors who want to support those types of projects. And the way that I see the investments in these cooperatives working is through revenue sharing agreements. So this is a really interesting way to do it. So it's kind of like a loan, but instead of having a set monthly payment, it's a percentage of income, not a percentage of profit, a percentage of income. So you just build it into the cost structure of the cooperative to be paying, maybe 2% of your income to the federation to pay off this debt. Okay. So if the co-op isn't making very much money yet because it's still small, then that's going to be a small amount of money. But if the co-op is successful, which the federation would be supporting it to be, then the amount that is paying back would increase and increase and increase until it's all paid off. Okay, so you just have a certain cap of how much we're going to pay off and then stop the payments. So this is very flexible. It's beneficial to the co-op. And if the co-ops are successful, then it's going to be beneficial to the investors because they'll get their money back even faster. One more thing that the Regeneration Federation would provide is the Regenerative Enterprise Certification. This is the Regeneration Federation after all. So how do we know that we're being regenerative? We would have a set of standards and a certification that we would require for our members. And I also want to offer that same certification to the members of our members, those smaller businesses, like I was talking about the yoga teachers. If any of them wanted to be a regenerative enterprise, they could also apply for the same certification. It's all about transparency, just letting us know what it is that you're doing that's regenerative and what you're working on becoming more regenerative towards. I want to create an environment of total transparency with these cooperatives and their members and everyone else so that we all know that we're being regenerative. And if you want to hear about how that certification works, you can watch the video that I created on how to make organizations regenerative. my goal with the Regeneration Federation is really to help as many people as possible make a living in the regenerative economy. Okay, we are in the regenerative revolution, and I think the way that we're really going to make this work is to make people make money. Each cooperative would be specific to a different industry. Like I said, like yoga teachers, like landscapers, like farmers. They would all have their own cooperative that would help them be successful and help them be regenerative. And then those cooperatives would work together in a cooperative federation that would provide support and oversight. So if you think that this is a good idea, please like, subscribe, join my Patreon so I can continue putting my full-time effort into this work. And please contact me if you're interested in getting involved, especially if you are an entrepreneur or a business consultant. I need you. We need you. We need to work together. So you can go to my website, regenerativedynamics.com. It's linked below, and you can fill out my contact form to get in touch with me. And I hope to hear from you soon.